Hi, I'm Nathan Cruz and welcome back to Inside the Toy Room. So today it's somewhat of a revisit episode and we're going to be revisiting X-Men. Now if you haven't already, please check out our previous video on X-Men toys, and that's right here. And also be sure to give us a like, share and a subscribe to the channel. This right here is a Walmart exclusive. Now what does that mean? That means that we could not get these here in the United Kingdom when I was a kid. There was a few characters in X-Men that I really liked, and one of them was Bishop. He's definitely my favourite time-travelling mutant, let's call him that, because I still love Wolverine. I'll always love Wolverine. And I really like Apocalypse. He's one of the best comic book villains ever. So this twin pack is amazing. I didn't even know it existed until recently. So there's a guy who runs an amazing shop called Monkey's Emporium. Check him out on Instagram, or if you're in the London area, you could actually check out his store. And he gets a ton of amazing stuff in, and it just so happened that he had these in. I just couldn't say no. Now there's two versions. I've also got the other one down here, which comes with Wolverine and a Mega Red, and obviously Wolverine here is in all this spy outfit, which is kind of cool. The artwork to these, and I mention this all the time, I'm such a sucker for Toy Biz's artwork, but when it comes to action figures, I don't think there's many that do artwork as well as Toy Biz did in the mid-90s. I mean, just beautiful, right? The annoying thing with the Bishop and Apocalypse is that it's got a little bit of sun damage on the plastic, but it actually hasn't affected the figures, so I don't necessarily mind. Now in the 1990s, the UK was hit with this enormous wave of American culture. We got something called Sky Television, which gave us access to all these channels that you had in the United States, which we'd never heard of before. Before then, we had 4 channels in England. 4 channels, that was it. 4 channels. Encourage you to go out and play more. You know, we was missing out on a lot of cool stuff for a while. In the 90s, we got that influx of stuff, and because of that, you know, American culture started bleeding into the United Kingdom. I mean, literally everything started coming over here. I mean, professional wrestling, what I ended up doing with my life. Things like the NFL are enormous over here, and that was never a thing back then. It was the advent of Sky Television coming into our homes and exposing us to all this amazing stuff that the United States had that we just didn't. You know, little old England over here was just kind of trudging away. We just didn't. If you wanted to play, you'd get out in the street with a football and that was about it. So obviously once all that stuff started coming over, whether it would be cartoons such as the X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman the Animated Series, even down to sports influences such as Michael Jordan and all those type of things, it really did change, you know, the next generation, which would be my generation. Previous to that, it was what you was exposed to in the United Kingdom, and that was it. Getting all this stuff in from the United States just opened our eyes, and, you know, unfortunately for our parents, opened their wallets and bank accounts to a lot of plastic that we're still holding on to in our 30s because it's so cool. But one thing that didn't come over here, at least in the 90s, was Walmart. Walmart would later purchase a supermarket chain over here called Asda, and I believe they got them in the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s. I'd have to double check my history on that. I'm here to talk about toys, not supermarkets. But going back to the point, that meant that we didn't get stuff like this. We just would not get these Walmart exclusive figures. And when these are in circulation on toy collectors, they're obviously a lot more rare, especially here in the UK. For me to be able to sit here with something that was an exclusive to the United States is very cool. But since I did my previous X-Men episode, I've added to this collection a lot. And I mean a lot. I did mention in that I didn't have that much at the time and I wanted to add more to it, and I've been able to do so because I've just been very fortunate on Facebook selling groups. There was an incredible offer that came up with a bunch of these original 3.5-inch figures, really steal price. I think I got 14 of them for like, I think it worked out like, I think it was 150 quid, and then there was postage on top of that. For example, you got Storm, we've got the Cyclops with his little laser that lights up, Apocalypse on his own extending body. I have the 10-inch version, obviously I know also have the 3.5-inch version of Rogue. Got Gambit there, Sabretooth. We've got Brood. We have Nightcrawler. Everyone likes Nightcrawler. Well, most people. I didn't. Don't like Nightcrawler. But I wanted his action figure because he's one of the most memorable X-Men. I mean, he can do some cool stuff and vanishing from one place to another, but I don't know, just never, as a kid, when I watched his episode, felt bad for him, but, you know, I was watching X-Men because I was like, these guys are badass. This guy can vanish, yeah, cool, but I didn't like him. We've got Senyaka, which is of course from a lot of the Japanese connection to Wolverine. But we've got Trevor Fitzroy and Kylan. So yeah, I mean, this is a pretty decent collection now. I think this guy was out taking a whiz when they was handing out names for the X-Men, because he's strong guy. It is what it is, guy. You're strong. And that's where his name comes from. But yeah, again, cool action figure. And I love the fact that they made him beefier as well, much like in the Spider-Man. They made Kingpin a bit bigger than the other figures. I really like that they did this with Strong Guy. And they do this with a few of the other X-Men. I'm looking here and I've got Tusk down here, and Tusk is to scale much bigger than some of the others. But I was looking through them when I made the purchase, and I was like, there's a lot of rare figures there actually that go for close to that asking price alone. So I was very fortunate in getting it, and it gave me the opportunity to add to this collection. And a very similar thing happened with a bunch of 10-inch figures that I came into and was able to get my hands on Rogue. I really, again, I don't want to stand here and talk all day about artwork, but I mean, that's beautiful. That's really good artwork. Advertising a few other figures here on the back. The Fantastic Four toy range, Iron Man. You know, these are the two cartoons that didn't do so well. X-Men, Spider-Man, obviously. I don't have that Mysterio in the Spider-Man. What is that Wolverine wearing? Wolverine Space. That's all it says. It's not like Wolverine in space, just Wolverine Space. But yeah, really cool action figures. Toy Biz do such a good job with all of the Marvel toys, in my opinion. I don't think they can be matched when it comes to going. If you look at the source material, for example, look at the artwork here on this t-shirt. It's influenced by the comic book designer at the time, Jim Lee, who was basically the influence behind the whole animation for the X-Men animated series, which came after these toys started. Interesting. All the artwork is heavily influenced by Jim Lee. Even though the toys began before then, they were still taking their inspiration from the comic books before the TV series would later begin. For me as a kid, it was the X-Men cartoon that got me into wanting any X-Men figures at all. And as a kid, I didn't actually have that many. I definitely had this Cyclops here in his blue and white uniform, because I remember absolutely loving the fact that his visor lit up. Because what kid didn't love a toy that had lights and sounds? It was really good. But these figures to have now in my collection, these Walmart exclusives, as an adult, I just have a greater appreciation of the importance of these. As a kid, I'd have just manhandled this plastic, ripped it right off, and got to playing with the figures, which is, yeah, what they're for. But I have something that, was impossible for me to get in 1994, and now be part of my collection is a pretty cool thing. If you watch series 1 of this channel, you know how much I was regretting selling a lot of my toys as a kid at a goddamn jumble sale. And one of the ones that I've been dying to get back was this, and this is completely unrelated to X-Men. I know it's the Batmobile from the 1997 Batman and Robin, but I didn't feel like I could justify revisiting Batman 1997 just to show you the fact that I finally got this Batmobile again. I love this Batmobile. It's my favourite Batmobile. It's beautiful. It just looks like what a Batmobile should be. It's missing the front missile. So if anybody out there has a front missile for a 1997 Kenner Batmobile, I would greatly appreciate if you would sell it to me, trade it to me, or, just gift it to me. I won't expect anyone to just gift it to me. Unless you are literally got no use for it. If you're going to throw it out, then please gift it to me. But I'll give you the shipping money. It's fine. There's a lot of stuff in this toy room now. I am at capacity, and that's a sad thing to say, because now it means that I have to hold back on purchasing toys until I can afford a bigger house with a bigger toy room. Hopefully you did enjoy this revisiting episode. I didn't want to repeat myself too much from the first time we covered X-Men. This was kind of an update to show you how this collection's grown, and talk a little bit about how American pop culture influenced kids of the 90s here in the United Kingdom, and how cool that is to still be able to get hold of Walmart exclusive action figures to this day. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Inside the Toy Room. If you haven't already, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you're notified every single time we upload a new episode here on Inside the Toy Room. Thanks very much for the support, and we'll see you next time inside the Toy Room.